Namaste. Welcome to Invocation 2023. Today is the final day of our 15-day commemoration of Sri Aurobindo's 152nd birth anniversary. And as a part of convention series, every day we have been holding one topic, a discussion on one topic. And today's subject is the first dream of Sri Aurobindo. Though we have been speaking about many aspects of his first dream, today we want to specifically focus on the first dream and what it means for India and United India. This year's theme has been United India, his first dream. And today to speak on this topic, we have Dr. Arati Sharma. Namaste.
Namaste.
She is a director of the Sri Aurobindo Centre for Homoeopathy at Sri Aurobindo Society, Pondicherry. She has been a consulting homeopath for 30 years with a keen interest in integral yoga, health and healing, and research in alternative therapies. Before we begin, I would like to read the first dream of Sri Aurobindo.
Please.
And then we may have your presentation,
Yes.
and then I will invite Jaya to be a part of our conversation.
Sure.
The first of these dreams was a revolutionary movement which would create a free and united India. Today, India is free, but she has not achieved unity. At one moment, it almost seemed as if in the very act of liberation, she would fall back into the chaos of separate states which preceded the British conquest. But fortunately, it now seems probable that this danger will be averted and a large and powerful, though not yet a complete union, will be established. Also, the wisely drastic policy of the Constituent Assembly has made it probable that the problem of the depressed classes will be solved without schism or fissure. But the old communal division into Hindus and Muslims seems now to have hardened into a permanent political division of the country. It is to be hoped that this settled fact will not be accepted as settled forever or as anything more than a temporary expedient. For if it lasts, India may be seriously weakened, even crippled. Civil strife may remain always possible even a new invasion and foreign conquest. India's internal development and prosperity may be impeded, her position among the nations weakened, her destiny impaired, or even frustrated. This must not be. The partition must go. Let us hope that may come about naturally by an increasing recognition of the necessity not only of peace and concord, but of common action. By the practice of common action and the creation of means for that purpose. In this way, unity may finally come about. Under whatever form, the exact form may have a pragmatic but not a fundamental importance. But by whatever means, in whatever way, the division must go. Unity must and will be achieved, for it is necessary for the greatness of India's future.
This is the last day of the 15 days event. Everything has been spoken about the first dream. A lot has been spoken about the greatness of India, and I'm here to conclude the session. So it becomes much easier for me that I have to just put everything into a capsule and give it back. That's very easy because now I don't have to explain each and everything, but it is just a snapshot of everything which has gone down in the last 15 days. So the 5 dreams of Sri Aurobindo, I want to draw your attention over here that it was given by Sri Aurobindo on 14th of August 1947 on the eve of the independence. And the most important thing over here is why these dreams are important. Just imagine that Sri Aurobindo, he was a revolutionary. 1905 to 1910, he was very actively involved into the Indian Revolution. He had great experiences where he had the universal consciousness itself during the period of imprisonment. Then he was already giving the Uttarpada speech in 1906. 1909, he has already spoken about things like Bhavani Bharati and the Mother India. All these things he has spoken. After that, he has come to Pondicherry, and over there he has done so many of his writings, right from Arya to Dharma to Karma Yogin, all the writings which have come up as the various volumes which we have, the Life Divine, Essays on Gita, Upanishad, the Vedas, Human Unity, Foundations of Indian Culture, the Mystic Fire, everything he has written. And after all these years, at the age of 75, India turns 1 and he turns 75. That is the time he is writing about these 5 dreams. Just imagine the importance of these 5 dreams. He is not an ordinary person who's just saying that, okay, I have a dream. But he is a person who has already gained the universal consciousness. He has already been a part of the freedom fight struggle. He has already seen things happening at multiple levels, the world wars. And then he says that I have this dream. And look at his audacity. On the eve when the two-nation theory is already proposed, when the partition of India has already been declared, that is the day he says, I have a dream of free India and united India. Isn't it really, like, how much courage, strength, and wisdom he must be having to speak that? That itself gives us the idea that he is a mystic, he has been a rishi, he has been a nationalist, he has been a revolutionary, and he has been an evolutionary. A person who is so evolved that he can look into the future and think not only about himself, his country, his family, but the whole humanity as such. This is what he talks about in the very first dream for me, when he says that free and united India. There were other dreams. 5 dreams. First was United India, second was rising of Asia, third was of world union, fourth, the spiritual gift of India, and fifth, individual perfection and perfect society. And he himself says that I see these dreams coming to fruition during my lifetime. And in the first dream when he says United India, but what happened immediately after the independence, he was there that time, but still all these things have happened, which is worth noting here. So is it really a dream? Or the mayhem which took place on the day after independence, during the independence, what happened? On 14th of August, the transfer of population had to happen because the partition was done on the lines of communal division. In India, Hindus stay here and Muslims go to Pakistan. And this was the real seed where all the problems of India really became worse. The transfer of population was so bad, just imagine, even if you have to go for a holiday, you plan so much. But here, in a minute, you are asked to leave the country and go and settle in a new country. And because of that, what happened was that people were not prepared for it. They had to leave whatever they had, carry whatever bare minimum they could carry, and go from one place to another place and settle down over there. And it was a new nation altogether. They don't know anybody over there, but just because they belong to a particular community, they have to settle down over there. And during this transition, what happened was that people were starving, a lot of genocide took place, a lot of people became homeless, jobless, and they were staying in the refugee camps, rapes, abduction, everything which was possible. The whole chaos of the human society was very much blatantly evident over there. It is the largest mass migration which has happened in the world history. 1,200 million people have been transferred from here to there. And not only from one part of India to Pakistan, but from Pakistan also they were sent back. And there was a train which came full of only dead bodies. Only dead bodies. And the tragedy is so bad that people have been it was not only the division of population, but all the assets had to be divided into two parts. And the assets are what? Right from the mountains to the rivers, to the railway lines, to the furniture in the government had to be split apart. 33% was given to Pakistan and the remaining was to be kept in India. There was no survey done that how it should be done, why it should be done in a particular way. And even if the independence was on 15th August, the partition lines were drawn on 17th of August. It was after the 2 days and it was random. Instead of two nations, it was 3-4 parts which happened because East Pakistan and West Pakistan, India proper, and there was a part which was not ready to join India or Pakistan. There were 2-3 parts like this. One of the major such part was Jammu and Kashmir. The Maharaja at that time decided that he doesn't want to join either India or Pakistan. He wants to have his independent status, and that has been a problem throughout. We'll come to it that why it has been a problem. And that is why the 14th of August, the Independence Day of Pakistan, where the transfer happened, where all this mass chaos mayhem happened, is called as a Vibhajan Vibhishika Divas, the horrors of the partition day. Even today we in India remember all those lives and people who have given up all what they had on this particular day. The next slide is of Mother India, Akhand Bharat. You see the mother sitting in front of a map which is of Akhand Bharat, where not only India, but India, Pakistan, Nepal, Sikkim, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Burma, Sri Lanka, all these countries are a part of Akhand India. As I said, look at the audacity of Sri Aurobindo when the two-nation theory is proposed. He says United India. Similarly, when the partition has happened, already the Pakistani has created one war with India. In spite of that, in 1950, the mother has the audacity to make a map of India, which is of Greater India or the Akhand Bharat, United India. And she says, this is the spiritual map of India, where the things are not in reality what they are talking, but still it is their vision, their dream, their force which will bring this up. So today we see that India is already having different states and some union territories, and the different countries which are there. It is in 1950 that the mother has given this map, and she says that the partition, she also accepts what Sri Aurobindo says, that the partition must go. This is not a settled fact. It should not become a settled fact. And Sri Aurobindo has not only told us about United India, he has warned us, saying that if this fact is not taken into consideration, then India will lose its strength, internal riots will happen, conflicts will happen, and because of that, foreign invasions can happen again. India's progress will stop, and if India's progress stops, Asia will not progress. If Asia does not progress, world union doesn't happen, and thereby the humanity keeps on suffering the same cycle again and again and again. That is why these dreams are so important. It is not that they are just giving the dream, but they are putting a vision in front of the world, in front of the humanity, that just look at your past, what are you doing? You are harming your own self. Please look into it and act in a more conscious way. So here, this is the partition of India. Through the map, I'll just try to explain you that what happened here. If you look at the upper part, where Kashmir is there, and it has been divided, it is very much close to the Pakistan, and here the Bangladesh, East Pakistan, the two parts are there. What happens here is that the transfer of population happened maximum over here. And like in any family, when there is a division, each person feels that I have not been given enough. That belongs to me. So this same feeling has been there in all the people, that this was my country, I have been thrown out. And each one feels cheated. This is the policy which the Britishers have put in place of divide and rule, and eventually while leaving also they have sown the seeds of hatred, terrorism, all the possible bloodshed, and till today we are paying the price for that. You see, most of the problems happen in this area of Kashmir, where the transfer of population happened, where in Punjab where the transfer of population happened, and in the side where the Bangladesh and Bengal things are there. This is because each one wants to have their land, or they want to have their riches which belongs to them. So the urge to merge is there from both sides, India as well as Pakistan. It is just that you are torn apart, and that is why what happens is that India says that we want Akhand Bharat, and Pakistan says that we'll have Gajwa-e-Hind. It will belong to us. Everything will be Islamized and everything will be made into a Muslim country. Whereas India says everything will be a Hindu country and it will be Akhand Bharat and we will own it. But the problem is that when this division was happening, just imagine the tragedy that even the army was split into two parts, and there were people who were said that, no, you belong to the army, you have to go to the other side of the country. They had family, children, parents. They left them behind here because they felt that they have a house here, they have a family here, they have some lands over here. How can they carry all of them over there? So the person went over there, the family stayed behind, and just imagine the war took place, they had to fight against each other. Two brothers, one in India, one in Pakistan, they are fighting with each other. This much sorrow, this much pain, this much of mayhem has happened. And we don't want to look at it, we are just saying that, okay, Akhand Bharat. But if we look at the history, we will realize that we were one. It is because of somebody else's lines drawn, because of somebody else's power hunger that we had to have these divisions. Few people who were not in really harmony or didn't want everybody's progress have created this. Whereas people in Pakistan also feel the same, that something has gone wrong, they have been cheated. Indians feel that they have been cheated. So always you find that there are conflicts happening between India and Pakistan. Maximum of our energies goes in firefighting. 3 wars we have had till now. The line of control is always in tension, always escalation keeps on happening over there. Refugees coming in, terrorist attacks happening over there. The Pulwama attack happened, the Balakot airstrike happened. All these things are happening because no one is really ready to give up what they have, and they want to acquire what was theirs. Because of this, what is now, how will this dream come into reality? If you look at the present scenario over there, you will realize that even today, Pakistan is under a lot of political instability. A lot of financial crisis and economic changes are happening there. It is not that they are a happy country, even their terrorism is there. And because of this, there are lots of tensions happening. And now, because they do not have the money, they are going everywhere in the World Forum to get some loans. But because of this terrorism, they are not getting enough funds. And India's position is becoming little better because we believe in zero tolerance towards terrorism. That is why little bit it is in favor of India that things are changing. But if an economic crisis happens further, anyways, most of the times Pakistan is ruled by the military people. If something further goes ahead, they will come down on their knees, and the only thing left to them is that they have to join somewhere. Otherwise, they cannot have their own administration. Because once the financial stability is gone, political stability is gone, crisis can happen any day. It's not changing? Yeah. So this was with relation to Pakistan. But we have other neighboring countries which the mother has mentioned in the spiritual map of India. What is happening with Nepal? Nepal, we are in a good friendship treaty with them. We have good relations with them, trade, economics, everything is going on. But now even we have our armies in position so that China is trying to influence Nepal. And because of that, what happens is that if Nepal surrenders due to some reason to China under some pressure, then it becomes a threat to India. Sikkim was an independent country, but it has joined India. It is a part of India now. Already one part has come back to India. And it was in 1975 that it united with India. And it is a very small country, but it is very, very important because of its position. You see, there are many other countries which are very close by: Sikkim, Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh. In that small little piece, Sikkim is there. And once we have included it in India, India's position becomes better to handle the pressures of these countries. Bhutan, we are protecting Bhutan, and we have a friendly relationship with Bhutan. We have decided that we will never wage a war against them, and we'll have good trade and communication with them. This is what we are doing with Bhutan. Again, there, China is trying to pressurize them and take a power up with India through them. Bangladesh, you know the situation of Bangladesh, the way they are fighting amongst themselves and the way it is broken from Pakistan, still the wounds are not healed. Just imagine the first wound of partition itself, the second wound of partition from Pakistan also. This has created a lot of chaos over there, and people do not know which way to go ahead now because they cannot be a part of India, they cannot be a part of Pakistan, they don't know how to govern the whole thing, and a lot of issues are coming up over there. Burma, we are in good terms with Burma. Whenever any crisis happens over there, we go and help them, support them. In the last few years, there was an earthquake there. India really helped them a lot. And in Sri Lanka, for Sri Lanka, India is the only neighboring country. You down there, you see Sri Lanka. Yeah, and they have good relations with us. But of course, militancy is there. Because of their internal conflicts, we had sent the Indian army over there during Rajiv Gandhi's time, and that is why the LTT people had assassinated Rajiv Gandhi. And Indira Gandhi had made a lot of efforts so that the two countries can have bilaterally good relationship. So one of the islands of India was given to them as a gift so that the conflict resolves. And today also, somewhere people feel that it belongs to India, why have we given it to them? They feel it is ours, why should they, Indians ask for it? So there is an issue out over there. But in spite of all these conflicts between different countries, you see that also a movement of being together is coming up. There are Bhutan, Burma, India, Nepal, they have joined together, saying that no, we want to have peaceful neighbors and we want to live in harmony. So they have equal goodwill and equal trade, bilateral relationship with each other. The SARC summit comes up where the Asian countries are coming together. So somewhere, because of the pressures of the other world countries, the smaller countries are getting together and they are protecting themselves from superpowers. So when this whole, she gives me a time up, so I have to wrap it fast. So when all these problems were happening, the freedom struggle was happening, Sri Aurobindo had visions of saying that India can be free only if we handle our own affairs, complete Swaraj, not by pleading or praying or saying that policy reforms are needed in India. The Britishers have to go, we will rule our country. Then he said Swadeshi, that we will make our own local goods and we will use them, boycott all the foreign goods and have a spiritual nationalism, where he says the nation is the most important thing. Our dharma is towards the nation. It is not Hindu or Muslim or Sikh or Isai, but it is the national dharma which we have to upheld, and then only India can rise, and then only India can be free and united. Today, all these things are relevant because so much of Chinese products are coming in, and because of that, our economy is going through different types of difficult situations. So Swadeshi, boycott, this hold true even today. We have to manage our own affairs, not allowing any other country to take decisions for us. That is very much necessary. And again, spiritual nationalism is that we have to think of the nation first, not of the religion. Sri Aurobindo has written only one poem or a worship prayer towards Mother India, and it is called as Bhavani Bharati, 99 verses. One should definitely read it, because the amount of patriotism, the devotion towards the land, the heroism, the dynamism which he proposes, you will get amazed. That is what is needed for Indians today. It was written in 1909, but it holds true today also. And that is why he says India is Shakti. What is this Shakti? Shakti of each individual which is a part of India. So all of us are a part of India and the Shakti of India. If we are tamasic, we are having inertia, we are corrupt, then our Shakti gets corrupted. So in his dream, he has talked about each individual over here. The main theme that time, Bande Matram, was the call which they gave to everyone. And the Bhavani Mahisha Mardini, he says, this is a small little concept which has to be taken up, because he says that there was a demon called as Mahishasur who was not being killed by any of the gods, and that time all the gods united together, and the Devi was there, to whom all the weapons were given, all the forces were given, so that the combined effect of all these forces can kill that demon. That is what is needed for India today, that all the Shaktis, all the talents, all the things have to come together so that we can get over this bigger conflict of partition and the terrorism which we are going through now. What is the way ahead? We had such a great cultural heritage, we had such great epics like Vedas, the Mahabharata, the Upanishad, the Gita, everything was there. Freedom fighters like Rani Lakshmi Bai, Maharana Pratap, everyone was there. Leaders and kings and masters like Ram, Krishna. Still, why are we suffering? Because somewhere down the line we have not got the strength which is necessary. He says there was no dearth of knowledge, there was no dearth of devotion, but what we lacked was that we did not have the Shakti in us, the power in us. And that is why it is needed today that each one of us looks up at our cultural heritage, look at all those heroic masters, the social reformers, the freedom fighters, the rishis, and get that knowledge back and stand on that knowledge as a strong foundation and then march forward. This is a very famous saying. He says, "O India, land of light and spiritual knowledge, wake up to your true mission in the world, show the way to union and harmony." He talks about spiritual nationalism, the Sanatan Dharma, the eternal law, which is not any one particular religion, but it is union with oneself, the universe, and the transcendental together. That is why in India we pray to the mountains, to the sun, to the moon, to the rivers, the trees. Everything is revered. Why not the human beings? Even every human being, to whatever religion he belongs, we bow down to that person. We live in harmony and peace with that person. We try to progress with that person. This is the vision of Sanatan Dharma, and this is what we are looking forward when we say about United India. Only if that is possible, then a world union can come into existence, and all the 5 dreams of Sri Aurobindo can come alive. We have to put that effort. And then they have not only given the vision and the mission, but they have also given the roadmap. Through his integral yoga, he has done it. And by putting Auroville in place, Mother has further stamped it and said that this is the place where it can be done. From here, it has to go to the world and to the whole humanity. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, everyone, after a brief concentration break. We don't have commercial breaks.
Yeah.
Thank you for that beautiful presentation. It was, in a way, very passionate. I could feel Ma Bhavani here.
Oh, thank you so much.
In some ways, and like you said, how courageous, how forward-looking, how integral is his idea, that he could foresee how we can progress in those 5 dreams in a way, from larger to world union to even some level individually. So I have few little bit, he has given it all, but trying to put it in today's context. Some of the threads that I could, write down from your presentation. But before I go in there, I would like Jaya to share her views on Sri Aurobindo's first dream, and from there we go ahead.
Okay, so yes, thank you, Arati, for the presentation. This first dream is the base for the other dreams. It's the axis from which they emerge. And it's also very clear that it's not the number 1, 2, 3, 4, but they're actually happening simultaneously. But without this one coming in place, the rest cannot come to their fulfillment and integrality, no? So I was looking a bit at what is happening today and how can we work towards this manifestation. And I wanted to start with a quote, which is from one of the evening talks, when they were studying the synthesis of yoga with the youth in the ashram. So Mother says, "Whether you know it or not, whether you want it or not, you are all united by the divine presence, which, though it appears fragmented, is yet one. The divine is one. He only appears fragmented in things and beings. And because this unity is a fact, whether you are aware of it or not, doesn't alter the fact at all. And whether you want it or not, you are, in spite of everything, subject to this unity." This is what I have explained to you, I don't know how many times. You think you are separate from one another, but it is the same single substance which is in you all, despite differences in appearance. And a vibration in one center automatically awakens a vibration in another. But that the oneness exists, even if you feel just the opposite, is a fact that you can do nothing about, for it is a divine action and a divine fact. It's a divine action and a divine fact. So this is what I am basing, what I'm written down. Understanding this is the base, that it is there. And that when we look at unity in diversity, it's not about public cultural programs and appreciation on that level, but it's about connecting in that space where we are one. Because it is a fact that we are. To trust that space, to have a solid, unshakable faith in its existence, and move from that assurance. In many places of the world, people of many different origins live together. And everywhere we see conflict, strife, and clashes. Humanity has one side of its history as warfare, domination, colonialism, suppression of differences. It has taken many shapes and is there in all cultures, irrespective of religion. In Auroville, we have about 60 nationalities, and though we are so deeply vested in human unity and unity in diversity, here we are in strife, very much around the same issues as everywhere else. India has a great diversity of people and culture, and when we look at what we call larger India, it's even more so. Kirit Joshi had told us that Mother had said that after Auroville, the most important thing that she saw was Sri Aurobindo's action. The information, the bringing knowledge and understanding of Sri Aurobindo to India at large. But I feel also when he talked about it's not just India, it's the SACH countries, it's the larger India which is there, no? And today we can actually see when we look at this, that the work, because we tend to wonder what happened, why is it not happening, but actually work is being done in India by institutions, groups and individuals connected to Sri Aurobindo and Mother's work. It's a very wide work going on in all the fields of life, I would say. The ashram, Auroville, Sri Aurobindo Society, Delhi Ashram, Orissa, Gujarat, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, and all other states of India, and also in countries abroad. The older generation, because we meet and have worked with them, they are looking for how to uphold things. What has been built up, how do we keep it going? Okay? And the younger generations, they are looking for something new. It's a huge heritage, and together it already forms a constellation with incredible capacity to support this awakening and conscious unity. One movement which I myself, Arati, Uma and others have been involved with since the last, I think, almost 9 or 10 years now, is something called the Sourcing Our Oneness program. We have a yearly camp in Nainital. And this last year, we also had in Gujarat and Telangana, where we together, the team which works with it, come from the different organizations, and we work very openly and widely. And people come from all the different backgrounds, and we work with the 5 dreams of our Sri Aurobindo as our umbrella, because we saw very early that under this, all work, what we all were doing, would have its place. And using tools and workshops developed from and aligned with Sri Aurobindo and Mother's work, and also very much through the Matrimandir of Auroville, we have found ways that in this work we can actually access this unity very easily. It allows us to work together in one direction, with the diversity giving a richness and inclusiveness in the outcomes, beyond the division usually created by age and gender differences, educational, economical status, cultural background, and language. I wanted to mention this because it's a space where we actually work. It is here and now. It's not just in the future. We can do these things. And I also wanted it, I've been very inspired from attending the other talks. 2 days ago, I got very inspired by suddenly realizing the fact that outside India, it's not just in India this work is taking place. We are held by the whole world. This consciousness is working everywhere. So we have the Indian diaspora, not only in the Western countries, we think US and England, no, but actually they are deeply rooted in Africa, Asia, and the island nations. Mauritius. I again and again learn more and more about how it is there, no? And the influence of Indian spirituality in yoga, which from Swami Vivekananda till today has become one of the very wide fields of influence on all aspects of life throughout the world. It is a fact. East as well as West. In the East, we think about America and yoga and all these things, no? But actually, the roots in the East are very, very deep and come from a very long interaction. China, Tibet, Buddhism. It's amazing when you start to look at it, because you see how it's a banyan tree, really. So we shouldn't be worried. The other day there was talk about optimism, or not pessimism, but realism. But actually it's an amazing, amazing situation which is there, no? And these elements, they are not only part of building the first dream, but they are part of all the 5 dreams. And it is not that we as humanity don't know that this is possible. Through certain time periods and in different places that seem very ideal to us, there are examples where individuals and groups of people have lived in harmony, shared each other's traditions. Paths have emerged for this simply because of this fundamental unity which is there. And we are always touched by this, because that space does not only hold a space for humans, it always expresses the reverence and love for animals and plants and for life itself. And you spoke about that now also, you know. It is something so amazing, and that's why we love the Native Americans, always when we go back to this. But also here, I keep hearing over the years the stories, I'm sure in India at large, but in Tamil Nadu, how people would go to each other's festivals, whether Muslim or Hindu, celebrate together. It is there. And that piece of oneness comes from a society that is in touch with this unity and builds its values upon it. And then I wanted to say something which is right here and now, what we are experiencing these last days. The path to Matrimandir has been redirected. It now goes to the international zone instead of just following the road up. And also Unit Pavilion and Savitri Bhavan has been opened up, so we have a lot of people coming here. And there are hundreds in a day, and on Sundays I think there are 1,000 people who come. It's a lot of people. And this last week, we actually have realized, no, this is so amazing. We need to have a team. Sunday, we were 3 people here, continuously talking and interaction with the visitors. And most of the people do not know about Auroville. They come to see the Golden Globe, to see the Matrimandir. They don't know about Auroville. They don't know about Mother Sri Aurobindo. But when you speak with them and you interact, it lights up. Doris is sitting there, she's doing this, and she tells me every day, it's amazing what's happening. So now we are really looking at how to put that in place with people here. What kind of easy materials we can have that we can just hand out, what we can do with little cost, because something is happening, and we have to use every moment of these possibilities to bring this all around and come, because it is, I wrote here, a great openness and a very happy thing, and many young people. We are essentially one, and when we touch that button in sharing, the space is very, very open. As human beings, just as Mother says that unity is a fact, so the search for something else is also an equally a fact. That flame of aspiration within us, in each and every one. So this was, thank you very much for letting me say all that.
Thank you, Jaya. Ignorance is not amongst only the visitors. I would say even about some Aurovillians who do not really know what it means, what's the purpose of Matrimandir and Auroville. So, light is the only way, and light of Sri Aurobindo is only guiding light that we have. And perhaps occasions like this, moments of, where we remember what is asked of us, will act like a rightful reminder, perhaps. Coming back to a little bit, touching on what you said, the diaspora of India, now, spread all over the world. In fact, at leading positions and as leaders of other countries now. It's incredible to see. But then this is not new for India, no? It's not something which is a story of last 50 years. This has been a story of many millennia. Without sending a single soldier, so they say, that India conquered, the Indian culture conquered all of almost Asia, the China, Japan. They all have taken up the Indic culture without force. So there is something inherent powerful about the soft power, as we nowadays kind of brand it, the soft power of Indian values that carries much more than just the hard power which the West usually understands or abides by. What are your thoughts on uniting India, having a united India, not by the regular lens of constitutional change, political power, just invading and then becoming, coming into the fold, like say Russia is attempting or US attempted on Cuba or whatever. So how can India show a new way of coming together, an Indian Union, a united India, but not really by force, but not by capitulating the other country?
So, Sri Aurobindo has given us a very good path on that. He says, first thing is that you have to think of the Rashtra Dharma or spiritual nationalism, that the country is first. We can belong to different religions, but we have to have unity in diversity, and then all of us marching forward together for the country, and thereby when we get back to our own swadharma, doing our own duties correctly and consciously, then we progress as an individual, we give the opportunities to others to progress, and thereby a collective harmony is created. And that collective harmony, when you have mutual respect, understanding, collaboration with each other, automatically it influences the other to become open and communicate with you. And that is the way forward. It is not by men, it is not by material, it is not by money that India wants to become superpower. It is by morals or the inherent values or the cultural heritage, the spiritual genius of India which has to come forward, and only then we can become a Vishwaguru or influence the other world and thereby lead the world towards a more spiritual, harmonious, peaceful living. That is the way forward.
Great. When we speak of united India, Jaya, coming back to you, we usually think of India in a land contiguity. We start from Afghanistan, then we slowly traverse like you said, proper India, and go towards Burma. But then we forget that there is an ocean which is named after India. Yes. And there are many lands, Seychelles, Maldives. There is also something called British Indian Ocean region.
Yes.
There is also a France there, Reunion, Mauritius. And we have Indonesia, we have Thailand. So why not also bring them in this idea of India, which they are automatically, naturally also part of idea of India, but we do not in our everyday thought think of them as part of India. No?
You see, it is on the political level. I'm not going to discuss this. No, it's not my part and my knowledge either. But you see, it is very clear when you get the dream. The next one is United Asia. So all this comes in, and for me, you see, when it comes, I feel that the first step, which has to be taken, is interaction with the SACH countries. That's for me very important. And the funny thing is, I thinking to relate that in the end of the 90s, we started up the Unit Pavilion project. Then it was just a vision, and we tried to find money and things to manifest it. And I had gone up at that time to visit a spiritual teacher, Vimala Thakkar, and I told her about this project. So next day, I got a letter from her. I don't know if it's sent to the hotel or given to me when I came to her house. And there she wrote, what you have to do, you have to bring the youth from the SACH countries together in this place. So we have talked about it several times, but we are still not there, but we should do it. I think it is, because even Sri Aurobindo says in the first dream, no, at the end of it,
exact form, maybe fragment.
Yes, that is like, that even when you look at it in the bigger context of United Asia, that even it's not like you need to put the borders and all this, but you need to have a very close collaboration, also very much for economical sake, because some of these countries, like Pakistan, I have a lot of empathy for that, are having very, very difficult times financially, okay? And when I was in Sweden, I was interacting with quite a lot of Pakistanis, because my son-in-law is from Pakistan, no? And it was so easy to talk about these things, because it was like, yeah, you know, it's all one. It's all one, and it is like this thing of definition of borders and aggression. It was so non-existent in the conversations, you know. And at one point, I found my son, who grew up in Auroville, and another Auroville youth, who also lives in Sweden, together with the 3 Pakistanis. They were sitting there. Everybody else, it was a graduation party, you know. And these 5 people were so at home with each other and so laughing and talking. You know, it was like, yes, 2 of them might not be of Indian genetic origin, but they have been brought up and born in Auroville, you know, and in India. So to see the oneness which was there was like, ah, yes, it's just home. These places are all home. And you see, when you started to talk before about Auroville, I really wanted to interrupt you and say, but you know, you always have to know that that oneness is there.
Yeah.
You always have to, every time when you are, because we are in conflict with each other, we have to say the assurance to ourselves, this is there. Doesn't matter what we are doing, doesn't matter if we are conscious or unconscious, it is there, no? And I think that that fact of establishing that absolute faith in ourselves will affect the circumstances.
Yes. Irrespective of me acknowledging it, it is there. To coming back to this, what she just touched upon, but the old communal division into Hindus and Muslims, and you talked about this oneness. So how do we bring the idea, which is at one level at odds with each other, one idea being everything is one, versus there is only one. 2 predominantly different way of looking at things. And if you look at the population, if you connect from, say, Pakistan to, say, Bangladesh, it's almost equal. And we are the most populous region in the entire world, densely populated. So it's not just a matter of convenience, it's a necessity for us to come together, no?
Yes. So you see that, first of all, we have to understand that each one has to follow their Swadharma. If I feel that no, everything is one and unity in diversity has to be there, this is the Swadharma which I am following. The other person has to be conscious of his Swadharma. He has to know what is he thinking about it. So as Mother says, that know oneself and how to control oneself. If they feel that no, Hindus should not survive, we should kill them, and if they really feel it from inside, they should give a thought to it and see whether it is their conscious which is allowing them to do such a thing, or are we really looking at humans in general, humanity in general? Are these lines which are drawn on the maps really going to create a divide in humanity? It is not possible. Because all of us come from one source. The only thing is the timing has to come when everybody has to be conscious of that oneness. And today or tomorrow, because of our own insecurities, because of our own aggression, because of our own selfish things, we will unite. Now you see the condition of Pakistan. Because they are in so much crisis, they are looking up to different parts of the world that, okay, we are ready to come and collaborate with you. Please give us some money. Let us progress. Let us do something. So things like this will come into existence. And if you look at the grassroots level, I have so many friends who are Muslims and I'm in good harmony with them. I'm sure there must be some people who are having good relations with, as she says, her son-in-law is a Pakistani. So at grassroots level, only a few people who are not really adopting to this harmonious, peaceful living, because they have their own fixed mindset about their own philosophy, religion. But eventually time will come when everybody has to get awakened, enlightened, and come into a collective harmony. That is the way out. It has to be done peacefully, or it will happen by, as Sri Aurobindo says, whatever means it has to happen.
That's right. This must not be, the partition must go.
Yes.
So he is not just leaving it out in the open, airy-fairy, no. He
Yes.
clearly says, let us hope that that may come about naturally. He's
Yes,
hoping for
that
that.
is what.
But by an increased recognition of the necessity, not only of peace and concord, but by common action.
Yes.
The practice of common action and the creation of means for that purpose. So there is a responsibility on us,
Yes, on
to-
everybody of
on each one of us, to create that means for that purpose of common action. So do you think a very practical, like he also says, a pragmatic, but if you may come about with some common action, like the Europe has created, a European Union.
Yes.
Can we imagine something like an Indian Union of say 10 nations together? And the politics, like in Europe, they all have individual, there is sovereignty, yet there is this unity at some level.
Yeah.
So is that a common action which is pragmatic?
Yes, there will be common actions. Recently, I think we had a G20 meeting in Auroville itself. So people are coming together for different purposes. Different countries will contribute for the common goal. Because everyone's survival is at stake.
Right.
Global warming, nature, ecology, finances, trade, all these things, terrorism, people are talking about this, and for that reason they are coming together. So for common good and common goal, they will be coming together, and eventually they will realize that this way of collaboration
Is a necessity.
is a necessity to live in peace and harmony. Otherwise, none of them will survive.
Right. Jaya, Sri Aurobindo warns us here that if we are not united, there is a possibility of a new invasion and foreign conquest. So again, are we under in some form of foreign invasion, not though politically, but economically or diplomatically? Now that we are living in a global village, and we are part of the systems, monetary system, the fiscal systems, which are keeping us somewhere dependent or under the influence. You think, or are we truly independent? And even the Constitution of India is a British constitution, which is basically, been given a facelift to New India. But it is not inherently an Indian dharma. It's not fitting to the Swadharma of India, for that matter. So the polity upon which we are based is still alien. Is there a necessity to look at fundamental changes, not just superficial changes?
Yeah, I don't think the changes are superficial. I think the changes are happening. But that's just, I lived in the country for 40 years. I've not been politically involved, but since quite many years now, I read the newspapers every day, so to at least keep myself a bit basically informed, And then I'm an optimist. I also have I think that to live in the country, to see what it has gone through, and to know that essence of being, there's no other country like that I have ever come across, where spirituality is a reality. And when you mentioned just before this thing about being like Europe, United Europe, and like that European Union, I thought about, but India would never make this kind of barriers on other countries, because we have made it as protectionism. Whatever you say, the Schengen rules are so hard to get in through. I cannot see that would be the way it would work. It would again be a path forward. But everything takes time. It's about changing the collective consciousness. And we know here that is a huge task. It is the raison d'etre for Auroville, And it is the necessary thing, but it is not something which just comes tomorrow. But I think, to me, when I see the changes, I feel that yes, it is moving towards this. It's all, I feel because it's a higher work also. It's not just what we see on the surface, it's what it brings from behind. And for me, that is, but then I'm, I speak from love, so what can I say now?
Is there any question to our panelists? You may have to please come here for our record.
You were talking about the Constitution, saying it is a British Constitution. For what I have learned, before coming to Auroville, I've read a lot on India. And the first person who have impressed me was Dr. Ambedkar. And he has written the Constitution. He was proposed by the British to write the Constitution as being the best person. So it's not a British Constitution, it is a pure Indian Constitution written, proposed by Dr. Ambedkar, then with the help of other people like Nehru and so forth, they put it together. But according to me, but I don't know, maybe you will explain to me, it is a pure Indian Constitution which unfortunately has not been activated completely. There are still many points which has not been protected.
I get it. So that's right. Dr. Ambedkar was appointed by the Constituent Assembly to draft the Indian Constitution. But it is not something that he did it from the scratch. What he did, because it is really huge work, so he worked for 5 years with a team. And he took the British Constitution. In fact, if I'm not wrong, he studied and he studied constitutional law, and he used a lot of American and England, both of it, and he tried to bring forth, and his main pursuit was to somehow create a constitution which does not negatively affect the long depressed classes of India. So that was the primary pursuit in my view. It is not for sure developed from scratch. It is right now, the Indian Parliament is looking at redoing some of the criminal laws, and they are rewriting it. But it's a long process. It's not also easy to, we are a young nation if you look at it that way. But the way I see it, it's something which is like Indian Prime Minister also said that we are entering, the Swarna time of the next 25 years. So within next, say, now it's not 25, now it's say 23 years, we will be 100-year-old. And hopefully by then, the polity, the economics, the way we do business, again, this is something, this is the way corporate structures are organized is very Western. This is not how the business was done in earlier days. It was not exploitative. The labor laws, all the laws are concerning a colonial company working in some far-fetched land and how to. So it's not fitting the people of this land. So all this kind of polity, economics, society, the way we live, all this perhaps requires some little bit going inward and seeing what's right for us. And I hope this will come about naturally. Your last words, please.
Yeah. So he touched upon a very important point, saying that we have just celebrated the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and we are entering into the Amrit Kal, that is the golden age of India now. India at 100, or India at 2047, what it will be, from 1947 to 2047. And very beautifully he says that it is not only the Amrit Kal, but it is a Kartavya Kal. Kartavya Kal means that you have to do your duties so that it can become a golden age. Each individual has to give their ahuti in this big yajna of India so that India can rise and lead the world and become a Vishwaguru. Only then it is possible. It is the dynamism, the strength, the spiritual heritage of India, the cultural heritage of India, the wisdom which has come up in India, all that has to now spread among all its people first, and then later on to the other parts of the world. This is what we are looking at India at 2047.
You had a question? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Not really a question. Rather, I want to express, I very much enjoyed the depth of your both of your contributions. You mainly developing from the side of the 5 dreams of Sri Aurobindo, and I meditated a lot on the third dream of world union. And actually, yesterday we had a meeting with some people who represent the Indian branch of a movement that is called Constitution for the Federation of Earth, or World Constitution and Parliament Association, that work together with the World Union as it started in the ashram. And so this is one point. The other point, I loved the first quote of yours. I would like to have the reference of it. And I think this quote could be on a flyer. You said, people coming here, if you have this quote, it's so enlightening. And a last remark is, I think people worldwide want exactly what we are talking about. As from the John Lennon, Imagine All the People, to something that is more and more a part of the dream of humanity as a whole. We just don't know how to get there. Yes. And maybe there, as you said, India has this leading mission of the Shakti of India. So what is the Shakti of India to the world? Maybe it is that India says there's an evidence of spiritual consciousness, yes, of truth consciousness, which is stronger than what the Western civilization glorifies as material wealth and success and power. So next year at the United Nations, they're going to celebrate what they call the Summit of the Future in September 2024. And there, unhappily, according to my opinion, they're going to make laws, like global rules, digital money, the World Health Organization. Treaty 18 is whoever does not agree with what they say goes to jail, etc. So I feel we should start a movement of free speech and have free statements saying, you guys are not really representing humanity. You're not representing the basis of human beings. Because the base of human beings, they naturally tap into the Shakti because they are people of goodwill. But the heads of the states, just elected, sometimes by a minority, they are working according to a political and mostly financial agenda. And to my understanding, this has to be unmasked, because if the majority of humanity knew what they are concocting, they would not agree. So I think we need to introduce the Shakti consciousness to this highest level and spread the news that the liberating consciousness is just there. As you said, here and now. We don't have to wait for the unification of Pakistan and India. It's here and now, present.
Thank you for your thoughts. Beautiful. Jaya, would you like to give your closing remarks?
I feel very complete. I feel very complete. And I love to be here with you.
Thank you. And we have Uma, who is organizing a Shakti conclave in Auroville next year, is it? Super. So looking forward to that. This year also marks, I think, 50th Remembrance Day of mothers passing into different realms. Come the 17th November, it is the 50th year. And invocation, we touch upon one dream every year during this 15-day invocation. The idea is also not to just forget about it after, it's to continue through it throughout the next year. And next year, 2024, we will be touching upon Resurgence of Asia, the second dream. And in 2025, we'll be touching upon the World Union. Thereafter, 2026, the topic will be spiritual gift to the world. And 2027, which will also be Mother's 150th anniversary, we will coincide invocation with self-perfection and perfect society. We have about 5 years, and we are also hopeful in Auroville. By that time, Auroville is further built as per her wishes, her dream. And invocation is not the only event that we observe every year. We also observe 8 days of Auroville festival, which starts from Mother's birthday on the 21st of February to Auroville's birthday on 28th of February. And again, for that, we take Mother's 12 quality, one of it as each year's theme. And this 2023, it was sincerity. And next year, 2024, it's the second quality, peace. So, yeah, you want to add something?
No, I just want to say that we are actually looking at, with Sourcing Our Oneness, to go with you on this, so that maybe it becomes a much wider thing, that more organizations that we work this year with the first stream, next year with the second, and so we have a very large countrywide. Let's see what we can do. It would be very nice.
Thank you, Jaya. And the idea is absolutely that it is not just limited to Auroville this year. Thanks to you and Sri Aurobindo Society and Sri Aurobindo Ashram, they were very forthcoming, even though we came at a last moment. Many of you took time out of your busy schedule and took part in our convention series. So gratitude to you and all your colleagues there.
It is our work, it is his work who's making us do all these things.
Absolutely.
It is cheers to her, not to us. So gratitude to them.
Absolutely.
That we are here in this harmony and we are trying to progress and march forward in their dream. I really thank each one of you and all the members who have been contributing to this great event. I hope that their dreams, their vision become a reality in our lives at least.
Yes.